My name is Ishida. I'm the Director for Asia and the Pacific for the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. The ELCA supports a number of organizations here in Nepal, among them United Mission to Nepal, Lutheran World Federation in Nepal, Lutheran World Relief, Shanti Nepal, and of course Sakriya Sath. Well, I think we have very similar problems in the United States and other places I've traveled to as well, where the younger generation and the older generation just don't know how to communicate. It's we don't know. It's not a problem. It's just that as much we don't know how to do this. And yes, we live in a society that's changing very rapidly, much more so than in past decades. Just look what's happened to the electronic and digital media in our world today. In the past 10, 20 years, things have just changed so fast. Young people tend to adapt very quickly, or learn new things, or want to learn new things. The older generations don't understand. And it's no fault of anyone's. It's just that when you're older, you're set in your ways. You look back to your past and you live on that, and you don't know how to move forward. Some do, and well, it's not everyone. But how do you communicate across that generation gap? It's a challenge, and I don't think there's any one way to do it. There are perhaps many ways to do it. Let me give you an example. My kids, when they're younger, they come home from school, and I say, "How was your day?" "It's okay." "What did you do today?" "Nothing new." So just to be funny, I sometimes change the question. "What didn't you do today?" So you try to create ways of getting into that.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work. Probably the best way that I tried to communicate with my children was allow them to open up to things, and not push them, because they don't want to talk all the time. So when it's on their terms, they communicate.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we always communicate well, and the meaningful things is sometimes difficult to communicate. That's a matter of values and morals, ethics, some of those important things in our lives, and that's a difficult piece. I did, and of course my story is a little more complicated because I grew up in Japan. My father's Japanese, my mother's American, so you have these cultural differences too between the parents. And living in Japan, where my mother was a foreigner in a sense, even though she spoke Japanese and everything, and going to Japanese school, and there was a difference in generation between my father, who grew up primary school, elementary school, and up to secondary school during World War II. So again, not just generational gap, the whole time difference, very different times. So it was, we experienced different things, and I think the communication gap was probably because of our differences in experiences, very, very different. And how do you communicate those? Will my parents understand what I'm going through in school, peer pressure, the environment in which we were living, and how do you talk about more intimate things that we hope we can talk about with family, but just you don't feel comfortable because of, I'm a kid, and my parents are older. Are they wiser? I think so. But I have my own ways, my own thinking, and my own life, and it doesn't always come together. So there were gaps there. But some is interesting. I like that. It's interesting. I listen to a lot of classical, but also some pop and some jazz. There's certain kinds of jazz, and I also, when I was in secondary school and in college, university, I played clarinet in a band, a concert band. So I like concert band kind of music, which is a whole variety of from classical to contemporary types of music.
Okay, nice.
This has been a wonderful time here with all of you, and I see in your faces, obviously our audience can't see your faces, but I see the smiles, the radiance coming from you, which tells me there's hope in our younger generations, and not just younger generations, all the older generations who accompany our younger generations, because it's about all of us working together for the sake of hope for the future, and hope for the whole country. And I realized that this country has faced many difficulties, from disasters, political turmoil, economic troubles. They continue to this day, and it's so easy to lose hope. And that's probably the most devastating thing, which brings about other problems, whether it be human trafficking, organ trafficking, abuse of substance abuses, drugs and alcohol and so forth. And we need to give ourselves something to look forward to. We may not know what that is, but how do we pass on the values that have carried us this far and to bring hope for our future? And that hope will be a part of our wholeness, better health, and this wondrous life that we can have together. So I think all of us together, we can work at that and spread that message.